Welcome back. Time for our Capitol Report with Pat McGuigan of CapitolBeatOK.com. Pat, let's talk about a couple of big decisions that Governor Fallin has made in the past few months. Her decision to opt out of Medicaid expansion in Oklahoma, and also her reversal of statements saying that she would accept federal assistance with criminal justice reform. In the long run, how do these things affect us?
I think it's a close call both ways. You can make a strong case for or against what the governor's done. On Medicaid, I'm inclined to agree with her because the system is unsustainable already. It's the #1 cost driver. Several years ago, healthcare in general, Medicaid in particular, actually passed education as a proportion of state spending, and that's before the Medicaid expansion envisioned under the federal law. Over time, the Medicaid expansion will add $1 trillion to the federal debt, as now projected, in addition to $1 trillion a year average over the next 10 years. So in other words, another year of debt. Now, some people seem to think that's absorbable in the economy. I'm not an economist, but I'm a historian. I don't think it's sustainable. So I respect her decision on that. And, you know, the debate goes on because Governor Scott changed his mind in Florida, and so, you know, we're going to continue to discuss Medicaid expansion. Very quickly, flip side, a different issue, justice reinvestment, very important, which we've discussed many times here, shifting away from incarceration of nonviolent criminals. The governor's not abandoned that program. However, she turned thumbs down on a grant process that could eventually accumulate to mean several $100,000 from the Bureau of Justice Assistance, been around a long time at the federal level, to finance training for our law enforcement personnel, district attorneys, mental health professionals, and others in this shift, moving things away from simply locking people up to seeking treatment in cases where that's appropriate. Again, she's not abandoning the program, but she's foregoing some money, and so far, I don't see the evidence that there's resources elsewhere in the system to absorb that. Plus, there's pushback from people in the system. So the question becomes, will folks in the criminal justice system, are they actually going to buy in to a system that's not guided by folks that have worked with this whole justice reinvestment idea before? So I'm trying to keep an open mind. I'm inclined kind of gently to disagree with her decision in this case. So you have two instances of federal money, and so to some people say, well, it's the same issue. Well, if we give up all federal money, we're talking about the loss of a very high proportion of the state budget. I don't think that's what the governor's saying, but she did say that about justice reinvestment. So bottom line is it's going to bear monitoring. It's a very important reform, and it needs to work for the state.
I know you've been following it closely. There are a lot of other things now happening at the Capitol. They're in full swing there this session. What are some of the other hot topics?
Well, as you know, this week, I guess probably the most notable piece of legislation to advance was on the Senate side, where Senator Bingman, the president pro tem, his legislation to shift the state towards an administrative system and away from a litigious system, that passed. It only passed
workers'
after
compensation.
Yeah, workers' comp. I'm sorry. It only passed after an hour of pretty vigorous debate. Senator Burridge for the Democrats, the leader of the Democrats from Claremore, very passionately argued against it. So did others. People like local attorney Bob Burke, kind of a legend in the writing business and a longtime friend. He is very much against this reform, although he supported the immediate prior reform. And he's making this argument that you're going to create 2 or even 3 separate systems. We've talked about that before, but that legislation cleared comfortably, 34-12. They're trying to address our 6th most expensive in the nation status in terms of workers' comp, when right next door you have one of the less expensive states in Arkansas. Real quickly, pension reform, again, something we've talked about, cleared a House committee, will be pending on the floor. There's not details yet in the legislation, but this would shift some of the funding mechanisms for the pension system to make them sounder and allow a new portable defined contribution rather than defined benefit program for new workers in the state system. School firearms, you know, big hot issue you guys have covered too. allowing teachers who are trained, to carry firearms. That cleared. Finally, big push is underway to ban texting while driving.
Yes.
So those four getting a lot of headlines, not necessarily the meatiest of all the issues that are out there, but those are the things that a lot of people paying attention to this past week.
All right. I know you're following those things, and you can follow them too by going to CapitolBeatOK.com. For Pat McGuigan, I'm Alex Cameron. Have a great day.